If you value serious historical knowledge that still matters today, make sure you subscribe to After the Sirens and, leave a comment sharing which forgotten survival method you want explored next. This channel exists for historians and survivalists who know the past is not entertainment, it is instruction. What you are about to hear is not theory. These are real wartime methods that kept soldiers alive when modern systems failed. And they are just as relevant in 2026 for anyone thinking beyond the grid. During World War II, water purification was not a convenience. It was a daily life-or-death calculation. Soldiers crossing Europe, the Pacific and North Africa rarely had access to clean supplies. Rivers were contaminated with corpses, fuel, chemicals and disease. Wells were sabotaged. Rainwater carried industrial fallout. Entire units could be rendered combat ineffective by dysentery alone. What emerged from this pressure was a set of water purification practices that were brutally practical, efficient, and designed to work anywhere with almost nothing. Many of these methods were quietly abandoned after the war, not because they failed, but because modern infrastructure made people forget why they mattered. Why World War II? Water purification still matters in 2026 is not theoretical. Grid failures, climate disruptions, conflict zones and long-term off-grid living bring us back to the same conditions soldiers faced. The difference is that most people today have never been trained to think like wartime logisticians. World War II militaries assumed water would be unsafe by default. That mindset alone is a survival advantage. One of the most overlooked World War II techniques was layered filtration using field improvised materials. Soldiers were trained to never trust a single step. Cloth, sand, charcoal and boiling were combined into a sequence rather than used individually. A typical field setup involved stretching fabric from a uniform or bandage over a container to remove sediment, followed by pouring the water through crushed charcoal taken from cooking fires, then boiling it aggressively. The charcoal did more than improve taste. It adsorbed organic compounds, fuel residues, and some heavy metals common near battle zones. In 2026, this exact method remains viable. A modern survivalist can replicate it using a metal bottle, a cotton shirt, clean sand, and hardwood charcoal. The key is order and patience, not equipment. Chemical purification was another wartime standard that, modern people often misunderstand. Chlorine tablets, you see, did not originate as camping gear. In fact, they were battlefield medicine. Allied forces used halazone tablets extensively, and dosage discipline was, frankly, drilled into soldiers. Too little meant illness, but too much, that could cause internal damage. What really mattered was contact time and clarity. Murky water was always filtered first, and only then treated. Today, purification tablets still work the same way, but here's something interesting. World War II manuals emphasized a detail that modern guides rarely mention. Warmth and agitation actually increase effectiveness. Soldiers were taught to shake containers and keep them close to the body in cold climates so the chemical reaction could, complete. That knowledge still matters, honestly, if you are purifying winter water off-grid. Solar disinfection, which is now marketed as SODIS, was not invented by modern NGOs. Variations of it were, in fact, used by troops operating without fuel. Clear containers were filled and left in direct sun for extended periods, using ultraviolet radiation and heat to kill pathogens. World War II manuals cautioned that this method required time, full sun, and shallow containers. And in 2026, this method is still effective in arid and equatorial regions when fuel is scarce. A clear PET bottle on a rooftop can actually make unsafe water drinkable if it's left long enough. The limitation, though, is chemical contamination, something World War II soldiers were trained to identify by smell and, location awareness. Distillation was reserved for extreme environments, such as islands and deserts. Makeshift stills were constructed using mess tins, tubing, and improvised condensers. The principle was, really, quite simple. Boil contaminated water, capture the vapour, and condense it into a clean container. This removed salt, heavy metals, and most toxins. In modern off-grid scenarios, this method is invaluable near coastlines or polluted sources. The trade-off, of course, is energy use, something wartime soldiers calculated very carefully. They never distilled unless the threat, truly justified the fuel cost. Perhaps the most important forgotten lesson is actually behavioural, not technical. During the Second World War, troops were trained to ration clean water and, never drink untreated water, even under extreme thirst. Discipline, not just technology, prevented more casualties. Soldiers were also taught to source water upstream, avoid stagnant pools, and, observe animal behaviour. If animals avoided a source, so did they. These instincts, though dulled by modern convenience, remain absolutely critical in survival scenarios. Applying these methods today really requires mindset more than gear. A person living off-grid in 2026 can combine filtration, chemical treatment, and boiling just as soldiers did, honestly. A family facing a prolonged blackout can use solar disinfection during the day and chemical purification at night. Coastal communities, for instance, can construct basic stills using cookware. The principles are unchanged because, biology and chemistry have not changed. The reason these Second World War water purification secrets matter is actually quite simple. They were developed under conditions where failure meant death, not just inconvenience. They assume no rescue, no resupply, and importantly, no second chances. That is exactly the mindset required for serious preparedness today. If this kind of historically grounded survival knowledge matters to you, subscribe to After the Sirens, share this video with someone who takes preparedness seriously, and leave a comment with the next forgotten wartime system you want uncovered. History is not behind us. It is waiting to be used again.